It's surprisingly common for a video game to be cancelled during its development. Maybe the mechanics just aren't that fun, or the art style is a little dated, or the narrative is underwhelming, or worse still, someone on high decides the developers are better used on other projects. Usually, the decision to cancel a game are within reason, but sometimes it's a crying shame and a potential masterpiece is left gathering dust. With that in mind, here are 7 cancelled video games that would have been epic.
Catch a deep breath. It'll be the last fresh air you'll get for a while.
Fresh air is overrated.
Star Wars games are a staple of most people's childhood. That was until EA took the license and forced microtransactions upon us and made us all pay to win. One Star Wars title we will never play is Star Wars 1313. It was going to be set on the planet city of Coruscant, on level 1313 to be more precise. The game was based around an unnamed bounty hunter making it through the criminal underworld. As the project gained attention, George Lucas himself changed the unnamed bounty hunter into the greatest bounty hunter of all time, Boba Fett. This all started at E3 back in 2012. The story was going to be less about good versus evil and more about the ambiguous grey areas between the light and the dark. So in essence, this was made for a more mature audience. 1313 would have been very much like Uncharted, with a third-person cover-based shooter system, including lightning-fast action scenes and cinematic cutscenes to rival the films.
Watch it.
When Disney acquired LucasArts, Lucasfilms and every little bit of the Star Wars franchise, they abandoned the 1313 license, forever damning it to cancelled video game hell. Just imagine, a Star Wars game about the criminal underbelly of Coruscant could have been absolutely phenomenal, but oh well, back to loot crates I suppose. Thank you EA. Back in 2006, a PS3 demo for a game titled 8 Days was revealed at E3. Produced by London Studio, the game was set to take place over 8 days across 8 different states of the US. At the time, they were looking to break boundaries and create the largest map in gaming history, filled with cinematic heroism like hanging from a bank vault from a helicopter, or playing hot potato with a gun and pointlessly switching cover. Both pretty cool. The brilliance of this game was that it was real time, so if it was nighttime when you were playing in real life, it was nighttime in the game too. 8 Days also planned to have 2 protagonists going down the usual route of one good, one bad. Each character would then stumble across the other one multiple times during the campaign. Honestly, how epic does that sound? I'd love to play that. Sadly, 8 Days vanished and wasn't heard from again. It looked like the magnitude of the project was its downfall, and the lack of online play halted things further. But there is a shining light at the end of this tunnel. London Studio have said this project is on hold rather than being cancelled completely, so maybe, just maybe, one day we will play 8 Days.
Tell me you're not thinking what I think you're thinking. You old crazy son of a bitch.
Even though this is a PlayStation channel, there are some cancelled games on other consoles that had the potential to be brilliant.
Wonderful.
During Microsoft's E3 2014 press conference, an exclusive action RPG was announced, Scalebound. This was a Western attempt at the genre which to this point had been perfected by Japanese studios. Playing as Drew with a pet dragon, progressing through the world of Draconis. One of the gimmicks of the game which I absolutely loved was the headphones that Drew wore. During extended fight scenes, he would actively pump up the music, giving us an awesome soundtrack to fight to. The game had ridiculously sized enemies and the ability to play with friends online. It was shaping up to give Xbox players an exclusive to be really proud of. But the game then missed its 2016 release window, and on January the 9th, 2017, Scalebound was officially cancelled. Microsoft brushed over the cancellation, stating, after careful deliberation, Microsoft Studios has come to a decision to end the production of Scalebound. Yeah, that's it. No explanation really. It's gone. It's just gone. What a shame. How freaking brilliant is the Batman Arkham series? Well, things could have been a little different if an earlier game was released. Back in 1989, the comic book or graphic novel if you prefer, Gotham by Gaslight was released. Fast forward to 2010, and Day One Studios began looking into creating a video game around it. The story took Batman back in time and pitted the greatest detective of all time against the most infamous serial killer of all time, Jack the Ripper. Somehow, Jack has come to Gotham, and in 1889, Batman must use gadgets and weapons that were from that time period to capture the Ripper. So this was filled with steampunk vibes similar to those seen in The Order 1886. The cool mechanic in this title would have been from the police force believing you were Jack the Ripper, meaning you were both hunter and prey.
Bruce Wayne, you are under arrest.
You can't imagine I'm actually the Ripper.
Sadly, apart from these shots of Batman's cape looking damn impressive, the project went under. THQ were in the process of acquiring the Batman license, and then suddenly went out of business, and Batman Gotham by Gaslight vanished from existence. If the story of Gotham by Gaslight interests you, then you'll be happy to know that DC have recently completed work on an animated version of the story, but it's highly unlikely we'll ever get to play as steampunk Batman.
We are the true patriots. It's time for a new balance of power.
The growth of Rainbow Six Siege has been astounding. Its player base continues to grow year upon year. Well, in 2010, Ubisoft had a different vision for the next Rainbow Six game, Rainbow Six Patriots. Patriots had your team going up against a homegrown threat in the shape of the true Patriots across New York. The militia group you were facing were acting for the people who were wronged by the Wall Street corruption, and in the single player portion of the game, you'd feel the boots of different operatives. Nothing groundbreaking, I know, but a little different from many first-person shooters out there at the time. Only 3 months after the game was first revealed, the lead designer, the animation director, and the narrative director were all removed from the project, leaving Patriots in limbo. Ubisoft realigned their expectations and began work on Rainbow Six Siege, which arguably is a better direction for the series. So maybe it's true, every cloud does have a silver lining.
Sorry.
Over here, now! No, don't do this! No!
What did you do? What I had to do.
The PS1 classic Legacy of Kain was an absolute must-play back in the 1990s, and Soul Reaver built upon that extremely well. But by the time Defiance was released, the franchise had taken a bit of a nosedive. In secret, all the way back in 2009, Climax Studios began working on Legacy of Kain Dead Sun, an open-world adventure merging Nintendo's Legend of Zelda mechanics with Soul Reaver's lore and narrative. It sounded bloody brilliant, but when we finally had the chance to see the footage, it was already too late. The project had been canned. To this day, there is a non-disclosure agreement in place, so details are a little hard to find. But Simon Gardner, the CEO of Climax, went on record to say the game didn't see the light of day due to changes in video game business models, but he also says that he remains on good terms with the publisher, Square Enix. Since 2015, everything has been completely silent on the Kain series, but maybe it's time to revisit that universe one more time. Potentially the greatest game that will never see the light of day is Silent Hills. Following on from the ultra-successful Silent Hill series, the game was set to take horror video games into a new echelon of fear and wonderment, switching from the typical third-person perspective to actually seeing the horror from the hero's point of view. The project had video game heavyweight Hideo Kojima on board, and Hollywood director Guillermo del Toro here too, making the 9th Silent Hill title one of the biggest hype trains in history. When PlayStation users finally got their hands on the Silent Hills demo, named PT for Playable Teaser, everyone knew this game was going to sell millions, and instantly become the pinnacle of horror. The demo itself included no weapons, and a repeating corridor which slowly unravelled a tale of murder. With talking blood-filled bags, fetus-like baby things in sinks, and Lisa! Those who completed the demo found out who the main character was. It's bloody Daryl from The Walking Dead, good old Norman Reedus. Suddenly, the shit hit the fan and the whole project fell to pieces. Due to the conflicts between Hideo Kojima and the publisher Konami, Silent Hills was cancelled, Kojima was released, and the demo was removed, and all advertising vanished completely. Kojima went on to work with Sony and is currently working on Death Stranding, which coincidentally stars Norman Reedus again. Oh, and look who's here too, it's Guillermo del Toro. We will have to wait and see if this really is a successor to Silent Hills, but one thing is for certain, it looks like a complete mind f***. So there we have it, my picks for 7 cancelled video games that would have been epic and probably made more money than is humanly possible. We could try and see this as a blessing, maybe if they were released they'd be filled with pay-to-win loot boxes. Anyway, are there any cancelled video games you wish you could have played? Please let me know your musings in the comments below. I'm Adam from PlayStationGrenade, and I'm going back to play the PT demo just one more time.